In a world that often praises beauty, one can just assume that being exceptionally attractive would be a positive trait. But how good looking is too good looking? Welcome to my colorful life after a gray divorce. My name's Regan, also known as the Easy Ex-Wife, and today we're going to dive into the topic of how good looking is too good looking. Is there even such a thing? And here is why I ask this question. Where's my tea? Here it is. I ask this question because I looked on the dating app this weekend and I saw that somebody left a comment on one of my pictures. So I went to his profile and this guy was extremely good looking and kind of model good looking. And I thought, is this real? Maybe this isn't even a real profile. However, I think it was real and I have communicated with him a little bit. Yes, I know that fake accounts are out there to hook people and draw them in, but maybe this guy wouldn't be good looking to everybody. I mean, if he's kind of a cross between, actually, you ladies out there can probably confirm this, he's a cross between like Kurt Russell and George Clooney and Brad Pitt. So good looking. And he's my age and he looks my age. There's something about like the deep forehead wrinkles in a guy that just works for me. So let me hear from you. Do you like deep wrinkles on a man's face? And this was a beautiful man's face. But what this brought up for me were the insecurities that I had in high school. Now listen, I'm going to tell you a quick story here. I was a gymnast growing up. I was very, very small. In fact, I didn't sprout up until I went to college. And by sprout up, I mean, I'm now 5'4", so not that tall. But I was probably about 5 feet when I was in high school. Maybe I was even smaller. And I went to a big high school, graduating class, I think like 450, 500 kids. And I was the second to shortest girl in the graduating class. So that gives you an idea. And I, had insecurities and, being so small just added to those insecurities. Not only was I small, but I was completely underdeveloped. And it was my senior year of high school, the beginning of the year, and there was a new guy, and he was beautiful. People described him as like a James Dean lookalike. Really, really good looking. And it was the first weekend of school, and I went to a party that weekend, and he came with a good guy friend of mine, and he was showing all this interest to me, and I thought, wait, why me? Yeah, I've never had a boyfriend, and there were so many good-looking seniors around, and he was paying attention to me. Well, to make what could be a very long story short, we dated for the whole year of high school. And I couldn't believe it because I wasn't, the popular girl. I wasn't the homecoming queen. I wasn't any of that stuff. And he could have had any of these girls. In fact, I would see a lot of these girls just flirting with him and kind of throwing themselves at him. But he really liked me. And he was my very first love. And as beautiful as that relationship was, I think all this interest in him by other women made me really, really insecure. Not a surprise. I really wish I had been the type of girl that had said, oh, who cares about them? He's with you. He loves you. But at the time, I just like I said, was insecure. So anyway, when I began text messaging with this one guy who I saw on Hinge, I thought, it brought up all those feelings. And now I am a pretty secure person. But still, in the back of my mind, I thought, is this guy too good looking? One, it made me think there's probably lots of other women on Hinge that are interested in him, and that's okay. But I also think there's probably a lot of much younger women that would be very interested in him. And the other thing about him was via text, he doesn't seem that engaging. And so via text, I'm not sure I really like his personality. So he did ask me to go to brunch with him this weekend. And I said I was unavailable because I did have plans to go for a walk with a friend, which she would have been fine if I had canceled on her to go on a date. But I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this super good looking guy. And you know what? Pictures don't always tell the truth. And my curiosity is kind of getting to me where I really think I will go meet him because I want to see what he looks like in real life. And maybe his personality will shine through in person because it hasn't been shining through via text. And, oh, that's Fiona behind me making those noises. And looks are not everything. They are certainly not everything to me, but they are something. Although I would much rather date someone like Will Ferrell, not saying Will Ferrell's not good looking or attractive, but he's not a Brad Pitt, right? Can we all agree to that? But I'd rather date a Will Ferrell that with a great personality that makes me laugh really, really hard than a Brad Pitt that is dull and boring and hard to carry on a conversation with. So my question for you guys is, have you dated someone that is extremely good looking? Someone that you think is maybe, I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but out of your league in terms of looks. Remember that movie, She's Out of Your League? Anyway, it made me think of that. And not that someone extremely good looking can't date someone who's not quite as good looking. And really, it's all in the eyes of the beholder. However, I do want to hear from you guys, and I think this could strike up a great conversation. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this topic. And I was so interested in this topic that I had to ask my good friend Chatty. You guys know who Chatty is. What Chatty thought. Chatty is ChatGPT, if you didn't know already. So let me pull up what Chatty said. How good looking is too good looking? Invites us to consider the less obvious consequences of extreme physical attractiveness. While beauty can be a significant advantage in many areas of life, there is a tipping point where it begins to create new challenges rather than solve old ones. So it starts with the psychological effects on others. People who are considered too good looking can inadvertently trigger feelings of intimidation, envy, or insecurity in those around them. This phenomenon is backed by a psychological study showing that extreme attractiveness can provoke social distance rather than closeness. Instead of being seen as approachable or relatable, highly attractive individuals may be perceived as unattainable or untrustworthy, making it harder for others to form genuine connections with them. This can have serious implications in personal relationships. For example, in the dating world, people may swipe left on someone extremely attractive out of fear of rejection or suspicion that the profile is fake, which I was suspicious at first. Beauty becomes a barrier, a symbol of potential emotional danger rather than opportunity. What do you guys think of that? I think this is a fun topic to talk about, and I think I will go to brunch with this guy, so there will be a follow-up to this video. And yeah, reach out. Let me know what you think. I can't wait to hear from you. I can't wait to see you next time. I appreciate each and every single one of you out there. And I'm going to give a little call to action because we are a small and mighty community, but I would love to see it grow. So if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and definitely leave me a comment down below. I can't wait to see you next time. Fiona's doing great. You probably saw her. Oh, there she is. She's doing good. Still no cone. Hopefully she'll never have to wear a cone again, but wishful thinking. Anyway, I love you guys. I will see you next time I see you, which will be very, very soon. Mwah. Bye.